At Your Command, inspired by Neville Goddard. Written and published by Audible Aria. The greatest order ever given is when God said, "Let there be light." I want to share with you, the reader, the truth that was revealed to me, Neville, in these pages of At Your Command. Can a person say something and make it happen? Absolutely. Throughout history, people have spoken things into existence, and they continue to do so as long as they are aware of their existence. Everything that appears in our world is a result of what people have spoken into being. You might disagree, but no matter how hard you try, you can't prove it wrong because this idea is based on an unchanging principle. You don't make things happen just by saying them loudly or repeating them over and over. Actually, doing that often confirms the opposite of what you want. Making a decree happens inside your mind. It's about being aware of what you're saying and believing it to be true about yourself. For example, if someone can't speak, they're aware of being unable to speak, so they're essentially declaring themselves as such. When you read the Bible with this perspective, it becomes more than just a history book or a story about Jesus. It's like a big play happening inside people's minds. If you start seeing it this way and claim its teachings as your own, you can transform your life. It's like going from a dry, lifeless desert to a lush, fruitful land. Everyone agrees that God made everything and nothing exists without him. Many people around the world have their own ideas about who or what God is. These beliefs can vary a lot. Different religions and their leaders often have their own opinions about God. However, the Bible, which is a sacred book for many, presents a particular view. It suggests that figures like Moses, the prophets, and Jesus all shared a similar understanding of God. Moses, known for leading the Israelites out of Egypt, had encounters with God where he received guidance and commandments. The prophets, who spoke on behalf of God, also conveyed a consistent message about his nature and will. Moreover, Jesus, a central figure in Christianity, emphasized a loving and compassionate God, urging people to love one another and to seek forgiveness. He referred to God as a loving Father and taught about his kingdom. These shared understandings across different periods and figures in the Bible suggest a continuity of beliefs about God within certain religious traditions. While interpretations may vary among individuals and groups, studying these texts can provide insights into how different cultures and faiths perceive the divine. Moses talked about God as our sense of being, saying, "I am hath sent me unto you." David wrote in the Psalms, advising people to be quiet and recognize God within themselves. Isaiah emphasized that there is only one God, even if people may not fully understand or acknowledge him. God is described as the one who creates light and darkness, peace and trouble. This idea of being aware of oneself as God is mentioned many times in the New Testament. Jesus refers to himself using phrases like, "I am the shepherd, I am the door, and I am the resurrection and the life." He asks, "Who do you say I am?" Not "Who do you say I, Jesus, am?" This emphasizes the concept that awareness of being is the pathway for life to become real. Our consciousness brings things to life based on what we're aware of being. This understanding sets us free because we can either trap ourselves or set ourselves free through our beliefs. If you, the reader, let go of the idea of God as something separate from yourself and see God as your own awareness, like Jesus and the prophets did, you'll change your world. Understanding I and my Father are one becomes clearer when we realize that our consciousness, which is like a father, is actually God. Think about it like this. You know who you are, right? Like, you're aware of yourself. That awareness is like a son, showing who his Father is. It's kind of like when you have an idea in your head. The idea comes from your thinking, which is bigger than any single idea, but it's always connected to the idea itself. Before you even think of yourself as a specific thing, like a man, you're first aware of just being, right? Then you start thinking of yourself as a man, but you're still that awareness, bigger than just being a man. Jesus understood this idea and said he was connected to God, not some made-up God, but a deeper understanding. He said, "If anyone tells you to look for God in a certain place, don't believe them, because God is inside you. Heaven is inside you." So when it says Jesus went to his Father, it means he reached a level of awareness where he was just aware of being, going beyond his own limited idea of himself as Jesus. Imagine you have this power of being aware of things, and with that power anything is possible. It's like when you say something and it happens. That's what this person was talking about. They were saying that when you really believe in something and make it a part of who you are, it starts to happen. They said, if I'm lifted up and really believe in what I want, it'll come to me easily. They also talked about how the Father is like this awareness inside you that pulls in the good stuff into your life. So whatever you're really focusing on right now, you're bringing more of that into your life. Now, when they say you must be born again, they mean if you're not happy with how things are going, you have to stop focusing on the stuff you don't like and start focusing on what you want to become. It's like you can't have two bosses. You have to choose which one you're going to listen to. So when they asked, "Who do you think I am?" it's not really about one person asking another. It's more about figuring out who you believe you are deep down. It's like asking yourself a really important question that comes from your true self. Basically, it's asking, who do you think you are? Because how you feel about yourself, what you believe about yourself, that's what's going to show up in your life. When someone says, you believe in God, so believe in me too, they're saying that the part of you that's like God is inside you. So when you pray, it's not about asking some faraway God for stuff. It's more about recognizing that what you want is already a part of who you are. That's why sometimes prayers seem to go unanswered. It's because people are praying to a God they think is out there somewhere. But in reality, what they're asking for is already inside them. Imagine you're thinking about being poor and you pray to a higher power, asking for money. Well, according to this idea, you're actually reinforcing that feeling of being poor. Instead, when you want to be successful, you should focus on claiming that success for yourself, not begging for it. So, let's say you want to be rich. Instead of picturing yourself as poor and asking for money, you should start seeing yourself as wealthy. It's like changing the picture in your mind from poverty to wealth. There's this saying about praying in secret and shutting the door. It's like going deep inside yourself and focusing on what you really want, shutting out the doubts and worries. When you do that, you start to bring what you want into your life. And don't worry too much about how it's going to happen. No one really knows exactly how things will work out. It's more about believing in what you want and letting it come to you through your thoughts and feelings. So, let's say this person said, I am the way. But they didn't mean I, Paul Smith, am the way. What they meant was, being aware of who you are deep down, that's the way to get what you want. They said that the signs of success always come after you've already believed in yourself. They told people to focus on finding that inner peace, that inner kingdom, and then everything else they wanted would naturally follow. It's like saying, think about what you want and believe in it, and don't worry about the details. That's what they meant when they said, you can make something happen just by saying it will. If you follow this idea, you'll start to see changes in your life. You'll understand what it means to trust in yourself and see results. Let's unpack this story a bit. So, Jennifer isn't just a woman from a long time ago. She represents something deeper. She's like the feeling of being aware of who you are, kind of like staying pure and untouched no matter what you're dreaming about. Now think about yourself as Jennifer. You have desires, right? Well, when you really, really want something, it's like you're getting pregnant with that desire. You're becoming one with it, so much so that it starts to feel real, like it's actually happening. So, when it says Jennifer got pregnant without knowing a man, it's like saying you might not believe in your dreams right now, but once you realize that you have this power inside you, it's like you're marrying that power and making your dreams come to life. Your dreams, your goals, they're like your babies, your creations. And the first rule to making them happen is to keep them to yourself. Don't go telling everyone because sometimes people can't see your vision and might discourage you. The second rule is to focus on that feeling of being aware of who you are, to make it even stronger. When you truly believe in yourself, when it feels totally natural, that's when your dreams start to become reality. So, this story about creation is summed up in the first chapter of John, which says, "In the beginning was the Word." But here's the thing. Right now, this very moment, is also a beginning. It's like when you start feeling an urge or a desire for something. That feeling is like the word, the idea floating around in your mind looking to become real. But just having that feeling isn't enough on its own. The real deal happens when you connect that desire with your awareness, with who you are. Because really the only real thing is that awareness of being alive. Things only exist as long as you're aware of them. So to make your desires come true, you've got to bring them together with your consciousness, with that feeling of being alive. It's like saying, "I am," and your desire agree to become one. And when that happens, your desire comes to life. For example, let's say you want to be healthy. Even if you're not healthy right now, you start feeling like you are. And the moment you truly feel that, when you say to yourself, "I am healthy," that's when the magic happens. That's when you and your desire agree to become one, and your desire becomes real, like a child being born. That's why it's said, "I am sent me." Because who else but that feeling of being alive could send you into the world? No one else. It's like wherever you go, whatever you do, you're always aware of being alive, and that's what drives everything you do. And what you're aware of being is what becomes real in your life. So Moses said, "I am that I am." That's a powerful statement, and it's something important to remember. It's like saying, "I exist just as I am." Now here's a metaphor to think about. You can't pour new wine into old bottles or sew new patches onto old clothes. What this means is, if you want to embrace a new way of thinking or being, you can't carry all your old beliefs and fears with you. They're like heavy weights that hold you back from growing. So if you want to rise above your current level of thinking, you've got to let go of all the stuff that's holding you back. You do this by shifting your focus away from your problems and limitations and just focusing on existing, on being alive. It's like saying to yourself, "I'm not limited by my current situation." You keep saying it until you start to feel it deeply, until you feel like you're just floating in the feeling of being alive, without any specific form or identity. Once you reach this state of expanded awareness, then you can start to shape your new desires. You imagine yourself as the person you want to become, feeling it deeply within yourself. And in this deep place within you, everything is possible. Every dream, every goal, it's all within your reach. Sometimes we carry around old things that make us feel heavy. They can be memories, worries, or even doubts. But the secret is to let them go. When we do, it feels like a weight has been lifted, and we can just enjoy being alive. Imagine feeling free, like a bird soaring in the sky. That's what it's like when we let go of the things that hold us back. We can breathe easier and feel more alive than ever before. Once we've let go, something magical happens. We realize that we have the power to create whatever we want in our lives. It's like having a blank canvas in front of us, waiting for us to paint our dreams upon it. So, let go of what's weighing you down. Embrace the feeling of being alive. From there, the possibilities are endless. You can create a life that's filled with joy, love, and everything else you desire. Now, if we take a closer look at what this passage is saying, it talks about how the scriptures invite us to move away from our old ways of thinking and to embrace something new. It's like leaving behind our old selves, represented by our bodies, and connecting with something deeper within us, called the Lord here, which really means our awareness of being alive. Remember when Jesus told Nicodemus that you have to be born again to enter the kingdom of heaven? Well, it's not about physical rebirth, but about changing how we see ourselves. If we keep holding on to our old ways of thinking, our limitations will keep showing up in our lives. So the key to changing our lives is to change how we think. Our thoughts, our consciousness, that's what shapes our reality. Everything around us reflects what's going on inside us. It's like how you can't change your reflection in the mirror by breaking the mirror. You have to change yourself. So start by realizing your own worth. Often we don't value ourselves enough. In the book of Numbers, there's a story about people feeling small compared to giants. But that's not just about the past. It's about how we sometimes feel overwhelmed by the challenges around us, like unemployment or problems in our lives. But here's the thing. We have the power to change how we see ourselves and our world. By shifting our mindset, we can overcome any obstacle. It's about recognizing our own strength and worth and then facing life's challenges with confidence and resilience. So, there are these things in life that seem really big and scary, like they're threatening to overwhelm you. These are like the giants that make you feel small, like a grasshopper. But here's an important idea. You only see yourself as small because you first thought of yourself that way. And because you see yourself that way, others see you the same way. It's like you can only be to others what you believe about yourself. So the key is to change how you see yourself. If you start to see yourself as powerful, as a giant, then those big, scary things start to seem much smaller, like little grasshoppers. It's about realizing your own strength and worth. Now, when it talks about all the inhabitants of the earth are as nothing, it's not talking about some far-off God. It's about realizing that you have this power within you, your awareness of being alive. When you wake up to this power, you free yourself from the limitations you've placed on yourself. When it says, I am the good shepherd, it's saying that your awareness is like a shepherd guiding you. What you're aware of being is like the sheep, and they follow your lead. And your awareness has never lost track of any of your desires or dreams. So when you say, I am, it's like you're opening a door for all the good things you want in life to come to you. Your awareness is like the boss of your life, guiding you and leading you to where you want to go. That's why saying, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, is so powerful. It's about trusting in your own awareness to lead you to a fulfilling life. So, your consciousness, your awareness of things, always has proof or evidence of whatever you believe about yourself. If that's the case, why not choose to believe in great things about yourself? Like being powerful, wealthy, healthy, and having all the qualities you admire. It's just as easy to believe in these positive qualities as it is to believe in their opposites. Your current reality isn't because of the world around you, it's because of what you believe about yourself. It's pretty straightforward, right? But sometimes people try to make things more complicated than they need to be. Paul talked about this idea, saying that to those who rely on worldly wisdom, this principle might seem foolish. And to those who are always looking for signs, it might be confusing. So instead of embracing this truth, people often stay in the dark about who they really are. For so long, people have worshipped ideas and images they've created, thinking they're separate from the power within themselves. So when they hear about this revelation that says we're all connected to that power, some might find it shocking or even blasphemous. But really, it's about letting go of old beliefs and realizing our true potential. This revelation helps us understand that we're connected to something greater, just like Jesus said, I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. It means you're connected to your current idea of yourself, but you're also capable of so much more. Before you can change your world, you have to lay the foundation by realizing, I am the Lord. That means recognizing your own power, your consciousness of being a part of something greater. So, until you firmly believe in yourself and your potential, without letting anyone else's doubts or arguments shake you, you might find yourself stuck in old ways of thinking. It's like what Jesus said, if you don't believe in me, you'll stay stuck in confusion. When you have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall you know that I am He. This means that when you realize you're not acting alone, that you're connected to something greater, every desire and urge you feel inside will start to show up in your life. "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." This is like saying your desires are knocking at the door of your consciousness. If you hear them and welcome them in, they'll come to life in your world. But if you think your desires are impossible, you're shutting the door on them. That's why it's said that Jesus ascended to his Father. It's not about leaving the physical world. It's about leaving behind old beliefs and rising to a higher level of consciousness. Jesus realized that he wasn't limited to his human self. By connecting with his true essence, he became capable of anything he desired. So the key is to believe in yourself and your connection to something greater. When you do that, your desires will become reality. Now, when we take a closer look at Jesus' message in simpler terms, he says that people are like clothes that the impersonal being, called I Am or God, wears. Each person, like a garment, has limitations. But if you want to go beyond those limits and do things you think you can't do as yourself, John Smith, you have to stop focusing on your current limitations and instead imagine yourself as the person you want to be. Now, how exactly this change will happen, nobody really knows. Jesus said, I, or the newly attained consciousness, has ways that ye know not of. It means that the way this change happens is beyond our understanding. Speculating about it only shows that you haven't fully embraced the idea of being the person you want to be, and you're filled with doubts. If you want wisdom or guidance, you can ask from God or your awareness, and you'll get it. But you have to ask with confidence, without doubting. Doubt only leads to confusion and stops you from getting what you want. When you truly feel grateful for something you haven't received yet, you're already accepting it in your mind. Saying thank you, Father, isn't some magical phrase. It's about feeling genuinely thankful inside. When you reach this level of gratitude, you've already accepted the gift, even if it hasn't shown up in your life yet. Now, when we're asking in the name of God or Jesus, it's not about saying those names out loud. It's about embodying the nature of what you want. When you rise in consciousness to the level of the thing you desire, you become that thing in your actions and expressions. So if you want something, focus on becoming that thing in your thoughts and feelings. When you align your consciousness with what you desire, you'll see it start to manifest in your life. So, in simpler terms, when you pray, believe that you already have what you're asking for, and you'll receive it. Prayer, as we've talked about before, is about recognizing what you want. Now, the part about believing you receive in the present tense means you have to feel like you already have what you're asking for before it shows up in your life. To do this, it helps to let go of any grudges or anger you have towards others. You've probably heard the saying, "Forgive others so you can be forgiven." It's not about some personal God being happy or upset with you. It's about how your consciousness affects your life. If you hold on to negative feelings towards others, it's like tying yourself to those negative conditions. But when you let go of judgment and forgive others, you're actually freeing yourself. You can rise to higher levels of consciousness without being held back by resentment. That's why it's said there's no condemnation for those who believe in Christ Jesus, meaning those who understand this principle. So before you start your meditation or prayer, it's a good idea to release any blame or judgment you hold towards others. You don't have to worry about whether someone else gets what you think they deserve, because life always gives people what they believe about themselves. In other words, everyone's reality reflects their own beliefs and attitudes. Now, there's this part in the Bible about tithing, which has been misunderstood by many. Some teachers have made people feel obligated to give 1/10 of their income to their organization, claiming it's giving to the Lord. But here's the thing. I am the Lord. It means your awareness of being is the God you're giving to, and you're always giving in this way. When you claim to be something, you're giving that claim to God and your awareness, and it comes back to you multiplied. Your awareness is beyond naming. But when you claim God to be rich, great, loving, or wise, you're defining something that can't be defined. Tithing is still important, But instead of giving to an organization, give to the true God within yourself. Claim the qualities you want to express, like greatness, wealth, love, or wisdom. Don't worry about how these qualities will show up in your life. Life has its own ways. Just trust that when you believe in these qualities deeply enough, they'll manifest in your life. Remember, nothing stays hidden forever, and what you claim for yourself will eventually become evident to everyone. So, your secret beliefs about yourself, the things you deeply believe about who you are, even if nobody else knows them, will eventually become evident in your life. These beliefs are like the words of the God within you, and they have power. They won't just fade away, they'll bring about what they're meant to. Right now, you're attracting into your life whatever you're consciously aware of being. Every belief or conviction you hold is like a branch connected to the vine of your consciousness. Just like a branch needs the vine to stay alive, things in your life need your consciousness to exist. If you want to solve a problem that feels overwhelming, you just need to shift your focus away from it. Even if it seems real, you can choose to stop giving it your attention. Instead, focus on being the solution to the problem. For example, if you were in prison, you wouldn't need anyone to tell you that you want freedom. So feeling the desire for freedom should come naturally to everyone. Instead of focusing on the walls of your prison, shift your attention away from being trapped and start feeling like you're free. Keep feeling it until it feels completely natural to you. Once you do this, those prison bars will disappear just like that. This same principle applies to any problem you might face. I've seen people buried in debt suddenly find themselves debt-free by applying this principle. They stopped dwelling on their financial struggles and started feeling abundant despite what their senses were telling them, and before they knew it, their debts vanished. Similarly, I've witnessed people who doctors thought were beyond help suddenly recover from supposedly incurable diseases. They stopped focusing on their illness and started feeling healthy, and soon enough the disease was gone without a trace. Who you believe yourself to be determines how you'll experience life. If you keep thinking of yourself as imprisoned, sick, or poor, that's what you'll keep experiencing. But when you realize that you already have what you're seeking and start claiming it for yourself, you'll see proof of your claim. It's not about a person named Jesus saving you from your troubles. Your salvation comes from claiming what you desire to be. If you're hungry, food becomes your salvation. If you're poor, wealth becomes your savior. If you're imprisoned, freedom becomes your rescue. If you're sick, health becomes your salvation. So claim health for yourself in your consciousness, not just with words, and your consciousness will reward you with what you claim. Remember, you'll find what you're looking for when you deeply feel it in your consciousness. So immerse yourself in that feeling until it becomes real to you, and watch as it manifests in your life. So, when you connect with the solution to your problem, that's when you start healing from it. Remember the story where someone touched Jesus and felt healed? Well, when you tap into the healing power within yourself by truly feeling cured, that power manifests outwardly as healing in your life. There's a saying, "You believe in God, believe also in me, for I am He." This means having the same faith as God. Just like Jesus, who saw himself as one with God and didn't hesitate to do miraculous works, you can do the same. It's all about believing. Your awareness, your sense of being is like God. So claim all the qualities you've attributed to an external God for yourself and watch as they start showing up in your life. So I'm not some distant God sitting far away. I'm closer to you than anything else, closer than your hands, your feet, even your breath. I am your awareness of being. Everything you'll ever be aware of starts and ends with me. Before the world existed, I existed. And when the world ends, I'll still be here. Even before Abraham existed, I was here. This I am is your awareness. Think of it this way. If you want to build a house, it needs a strong foundation. Similarly, if you want something in life, it must first be established in your awareness. Otherwise, your efforts will be in vain. Everything begins and ends with what you're conscious of. So it's truly wise to trust in yourself. Your faith in God is reflected in your confidence in yourself. You believe in a higher power, so believe in yourself too. Don't rely too much on other people because they only mirror what you believe about yourself. No one can take your life away from you. You have the power to shape your own life, to lay it down or pick it up again. Remember, everything that happens in life follows a precise and unchanging law. Nothing is random. Every manifestation in your life is drawn to you by your own inner self. When you truly believe in this truth, you'll see it manifest in your life. So a person who feels trapped often blames others for their situation. They'll keep doing this until they realize that they themselves are the root cause of everything. I am doesn't come to destroy, but to fulfill. It's like a powerful force within you that fills up whatever you believe about yourself. Imagine a person stuck in poverty. Even if they're surrounded by wealth, they won't become rich until they start seeing themselves as wealthy. You see, signs of change follow our beliefs, not the other way around. So, constantly complaining about poverty while staying stuck in that mindset is like playing a game where you always lose. To make real changes, we need to learn from the story of the prodigal son. He realized that his own actions led to his downfall. When he decided to change and rise to a higher level, he was rewarded with blessings. There was no judgment when he claimed his inheritance. Similarly, others will only judge us as long as we judge ourselves. So it's important not to condemn ourselves for our mistakes. Life doesn't condemn anything, it just expresses what we believe about ourselves. So it's wise to be kind to ourselves and choose beliefs that empower us to grow. Life doesn't play favorites based on whether you see yourself as rich or poor, strong or weak. It simply gives you what you believe about yourself. Humans are the ones who judge things as right or wrong, but life itself doesn't have such judgments. Paul, in his letters to the Romans, said that nothing is inherently unclean, but if someone believes it is, then for them it is. So, instead of questioning whether you deserve what you desire, understand that your desires come from within you. You don't consciously choose to be hungry when you need food, or to crave freedom when you're imprisoned. These desires are natural responses to our circumstances and contain within them the blueprint for our self-expression. Remove all judgments and doubts from your thoughts and focus on elevating your consciousness to match your desires. Claim your desires as already true for you. Have faith in this belief until you feel it deep within you. Your confidence in your desires will bring great rewards. Remember, it takes time for your desires to manifest. But without faith, nothing can become real. It's faith that shapes our world, turning hopes into reality, even if we can't see it yet. Don't worry about the outcome. Trust that it will come to pass. Treat your desires as promises from a higher power. The main reason we often don't achieve our desires is because we doubt or limit them in our minds. Embrace your desires without trying to control or change them. Be thankful for them as if you've already received them, and then carry on with your life calmly. This kind of acceptance is like planting seeds in fertile soil. When you truly believe your desire will come true, you've done all you need to do. Worrying about how your desire will come to pass is like holding on to those seeds instead of planting them with confidence. People often try to control their desires because they judge based on what they see, forgetting that reality comes from within. Believing in the reality of what you see denies the endless possibilities of what can happen. Problems are like mountains that can be moved with just a tiny bit of faith. People often approach their problems like an old lady who heard a priest say that even a tiny bit of faith can move mountains. She prayed, went to bed, and woke up thinking the mountain would still be there. Similarly, people expect their problems to persist, not realizing that life doesn't just get rid of things. They disappear only when our consciousness changes. Whether you believe it or not, the truth remains. Consciousness is the only real thing, and everything else is just a reflection of what you believe in your consciousness. The peaceful, blissful state you're looking for can only be found in your mind because heaven is within you, and what heaven wants is always done on earth. Right now, the happiness and peace you're searching for are already present within you. You're living in the heaven you've created within yourself, right here on earth. So the heavenly life you're seeking is already close to you. This is the right time to embrace it. So here's what you can do. Imagine a new world, a new way of thinking, and you'll see a whole new reality unfold before you. The old things that trouble you will fade away and you won't even remember them anymore. It's like a fresh start. Your consciousness, which is like your inner self, is always with you, ready to bring you rewards based on what you believe in. It's like a blank canvas that takes on whatever picture you paint on it. Whatever you deeply believe about yourself will become your reality because your consciousness knows the truth. Now let me explain something using a fishing analogy. You know the story where the disciples fish all night and catch nothing? Then Jesus tells them to try again and suddenly they have a huge catch. Well, that's happening right within you. You have everything you need to go fishing for your desires. But until you realize that your inner awareness, your own Jesus Christ, is the one guiding you, you'll fish in the dark, struggling and striving to get what you want. But once you understand that your awareness is in charge, you'll fish differently. Instead of chasing after things, you'll fish in the waters of your mind, catching your desires like fish. It's not that Jesus magically made fish appear, but rather, the people became aware of their own power, and that's when they were able to catch fish where they couldn't before. Your consciousness is like the main thing that's really alive and real in your life. If you want to catch bigger things like desires or dreams that seem out of reach, you've got to go deeper. That means leaving behind all the stuff that's bothering you right now. Just forget about it for a while. Instead, focus on just being. Tell yourself, I am here, I am alive, and really feel it. Don't put any conditions on it, just let yourself feel that you exist. Eventually, you'll start to feel like you're moving away from all the shallow problems and into deeper waters. You might even feel like you're growing or expanding. It's a sign that you're heading in the right direction. Don't worry, because courage is important here. You're not going to lose anything except your old limitations, and they'll disappear as you move away from them. Focus only on what's going on in your mind. In this deep, expanded state of mind, you'll discover a power you never knew you had. The things you wanted before you left behind your limitations are the things you'll find in this deep place. Since you're not thinking about your problems anymore, it's easy to feel connected to what you want. Because I am your consciousness, I bring things back to life. You need to connect this powerful awareness, which is you, to what you want to make it real in your life. Now start to feel like you already have what you desire. Say to yourself, I am wealthy, I am free, I am strong. When you really believe these things, they'll start to shape your life. You become deeply connected to the feelings of wealth, freedom, and strength. Stay focused on these strong beliefs. Then, like a leader appearing in the darkness, and when you least expect it, these qualities will come to life in your world as real things. People will see that you're a living, breathing person because you'll start to show the qualities you've recently embraced. This is how you successfully bring what you want into your life. A similar lesson comes from the story of Daniel in the lion's den. It says that Daniel, even though he was surrounded by lions, turned away from them and looked towards the light above. The lions couldn't harm him, and his faith in his God saved him. You can do the same thing. If you found yourself in a dangerous situation like a lion's den, all you would think about is the danger, like the lions. But Daniel didn't focus on the danger. He focused on the light, which represented his faith in his God. If we follow Daniel's example, even when we feel trapped by problems like debt or illness, we should stop focusing on those problems and think about what we want instead. If we keep believing that we already have what we want, without dwelling on our problems, we'll see our obstacles disappear, and we'll get what we desire. Another story tells of a widow with only 3 drops of oil left. A prophet tells her to borrow empty jars, close the door behind her, and start pouring. She fills all the jars to the brim with oil from those 3 drops. You, the reader, are like that widow. You don't have a husband to help you have children or make your life fruitful. Being a widow means feeling empty. But now you can think of God or the prophet as your husband. Look at the story of the widow who only had a little bit of oil left. Instead of feeling hopeless, she focused on what she had. She closed the door and shut out all the worries. She concentrated on feeling happy, like having more oil. When you stop listening to your worries and fears, you'll start to see good things happen. What you believe about yourself becomes true. If you believe good things will happen to you. Be like the widow and find joy in even the smallest things, and you'll be rewarded greatly. The world is like a big mirror, showing you what you think and feel inside. Remember the words, "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me." This means that your awareness is like God. Wake up from the idea that you're trapped. Understand that the world belongs to you with everything in it. You've gotten so caught up in thinking you're just a regular person that you forgot how amazing you truly are. But now that you remember, you can make things happen just by believing. Everything listens to your thoughts and feelings, just like they would to God. The world is yours to control. I hope you've enjoyed learning about this idea from Neville Goddard and his amazing books. It's fascinating to dive into his earlier writings. If you look closely, you'll see he doesn't talk much about imagination here, and he quotes different parts of the Bible compared to his other talks. In this writing, he talks about tithing for the first time that I can remember. Tithing is when people give 10% of their income, but Neville suggests that this 10% is actually given to yourself, to your own potential. I found that idea really interesting. He also talks about forgiveness. Neville says that if you hold on to grudges or if you can't forgive yourself, you can't make your dreams come true. I've experienced this in my own life. There were times when I couldn't forgive people for hurting me, and times when I needed forgiveness myself. Both of those things stopped me from moving forward, like blocking the flow of power within me. So it's important to find a way to forgive everyone and everything. Neville also mentions not to hold on to anger. How you think about others affects you too. So don't get upset with people you see on TV, and try not to hold on to negative feelings towards others. A big idea in this book, maybe the most important one, is to stop worrying about how things will happen. Many people look at their dreams and think they're impossible. Like someone on death row might say, "It's impossible for me to get out of jail because I'm guilty." But Neville Goddard says forget about the how. He emphasizes that you have to ignore the obstacles outside and focus on what you want inside your mind. For example, if you're in prison, stop thinking about the bars and start imagining yourself free. Eventually, that inner freedom will show itself in your outer reality. And if you want to be healthy, start by imagining yourself healthy. These lessons are really important, and I've talked about them many times in countless lectures by Neville Goddard. It's important to repeat them because they're crucial. Don't worry if you've heard them before. The repetition is intentional. You can do this. Instead of worrying about how things will happen, just focus on assuming the state you desire. It might seem opposite to where you are right now. For example, if you're not feeling healthy, imagine yourself as healthy. Say to yourself, "I am health." If you're struggling financially, imagine yourself wealthy. Say, "I am wealth." But here's the key. Don't think of the God you're praying to as someone separate from you, somewhere far away. The God you're praying to is within you specifically. Neville emphasizes this point. He also reminds us that the world and the universe act like a big mirror. When Neville talks about changing other people or things around you, it's like trying to change the reflection in a mirror. What you see in the people and things around you is a reflection of what's happening inside your own mind. Always remember that. You can't change the mirror by doing something to the mirror itself. You have to change yourself. If you want to see a different reflection, you have to change what's inside you. One lesson that stands out to me is when Neville talks about how some people want to harm others. They might not actually want to kill them, but they want to get rid of them from their lives. These people haven't learned about the laws that could help them achieve what they want without harming others. I've had situations in my own life where I didn't want certain people around anymore, like roommates, partners, or friends. I didn't wish any harm on them, but I just didn't want them in my life. Interestingly, without any direct action on my part, they eventually moved on or drifted away. I hope you've gained some insights from this book too. It adds to our understanding of Neville's teachings. We get to see his early work, his beautiful language, and how he interprets the Bible in a unique way. Remember, you have the power to shape your reality. Thank you for listening.